everyone. Welcome to the December episode of the Advocacy Update, where we talk about all things advocacy in the downtown. We are super excited today to have our great friends and partners from the Greater Madison Chamber of Commerce and Kevin Little, Vice President, with us here today to talk about all things that's happening in the chamber world, but also the N2 survey that they hosted with hundreds of businesses filled out this survey to talk about what's going on in the economy and what's happening in the area. Kevin's going to go over some of those results here when we get to him in a little bit. But we are here today because of our sponsors. Huge thank you to our friends at Scenair, who have been longtime major series sponsors of the Advocacy Update, but also our friends at Hush Blackwell and the Fiore Companies. As always, we have our good friend, Chris Schilling, Senior Vice President of Business Development for Scenair, with us today. Happy holidays, Chris. How are you?
I'm well, Jason, and happy holidays to you. How are you?
I'm doing great. What do you do for the holidays?
Blissfully staying home and taking a little bit of time off to recharge the batteries. Once Christmas Eve hits, the next time I hope that I see the inside of the office is on the 5th of January, but that's a story yet to be told.
Well played. Well played. How's everything in there?
Really good. We're reflecting on 25 and looking ahead to 26. It's been a banner year for us in terms of growth. Sometimes we take that we look at that as both a badge of honor for us in being able to grow what we do to help serve communities, but also a continued call to continue serving in the way that we do, because it means that the need for affordable housing and community lending and all of the things that we do to try to help foster vibrant communities there's still unmet need out there. So we'll have plenty yet to do in 2026.
Well, we're so thankful for all you do for the Madison community, Chris. You and all the Chris's that work for Scenair, the entire team. Thank you for everything you do. We really appreciate it. We have a wonderful holiday season.
Yes, you too, Jason. And thanks for, I think it's a good capstone to bring Kevin in from the chamber, because I think sometimes in all the work that DMI does to make downtown Madison a vibrant place, it doesn't have that engine unless there's vibrancy in the business community too. And there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. So I'm excited to hear some of the things that Kevin has to say, looking back on 25 and ahead to things in 26.
Well, you hear here. I mean, we are so thankful for the great work of the Greater Madison Chamber of Commerce and our excellent partnership with them. Chris, thank you for your partnership, and all our friends at Scenair, Hush Blackwell, and Fiore Companies for your partnership with the Advocacy Update. There are lots of things happening here in the advocacy world in DMI, starting with Regent Street. We talked about this a couple of times here on the Advocacy Update, but things are starting to happen. We met with the team from the city yesterday with the Regent Street Business Association, and the city will have another public meeting on the design of the Regent Street road construction, a major topic here in the downtown, on January 26th. We'll send out more information when we have more information, but please come check out some of the design ideas they have for the street. This is a critical project for the downtown, as one of only a few streets that go east-west through the isthmus, plus a very vibrant business scene connected to major infrastructure and major stakeholders in that area: UW Health, UW Athletics, SSM, Meriter, just to name a few. Really important region. So please make sure that your voice is heard as the Regent Street process continues to unfold. We also very proudly launched Envision Downtown Madison a few weeks ago with our partners in the city of Madison. This is a coordinated and collaborative effort between the city of Madison and DMI to help envision what the land use and the downtown strategy could look like for the next 10 to 15 years. The kickoff event was well attended. We had lots of people online and lots of people in person giving their first ideas of what they want to see in the downtown. This really does begin the public part of this work. And so you're going to see many opportunities to take part, either through surveys, through stakeholder groups, through other meetings just like this that will run throughout 2026. So please do pay attention to the DMI emails for a myriad of ways to get involved in Envision Downtown Madison. We are very thankful again to our partners at the City of Madison and our many other partners that have been a part of this process. And honestly, a big thanks to Kevin Little, who has been a part of our project leadership team on this, and so thankful for the support of the Greater Downtown. No, you're not the Greater Downtown Chamber of Commerce. You're just the downtown. You're just the Chamber of Commerce. Yes, sorry. I just want to add the word downtown into everything. So thank you to the Greater Madison Chamber of Commerce for your support. Last up, DMI launched our 15th in State of the Downtown reports just a few weeks ago. It is full of facts and figures about live, work, and play in downtown. Generally, things in the downtown are good, and you see that in the numbers. Continued construction, continued more tourism. We are certainly seeing lower numbers of workers, which we're watching very closely, but there is just chock full of data that we can help plan, including with Envision Downtown Madison, but in many different ways to make sure that downtown is economically strong, equitable, inclusive, and vibrant place to live, work, and visit. With the report, which you can find on our website, we also ran a panel discussion with some excellent folks, including the 8th District Alder MGR Govindarajan, ULI's Bob Bruni, the City of Madison Transportation Department's Christoph Spieler, Cindy Torsveit with UW, and Amy Supple with the Edgewater Hotel and chair of our board of directors did an excellent job diving deeper into the data and talking about some of the trends that they saw and how we can use that information into the future. Speaking of the future, I think it's bright because you're about to hear from one of my favorite people in Madison. If you don't know Kevin Little, he is outstanding. Such great energy, such great knowledge, experience. He leads the business community so well. We are so excited to have him here. Kevin Little, Vice President of the Greater Madison Chamber of Commerce, is joining us here today. How are you?
Hello, my friend. I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are the kids, most importantly?
Kids are good. Jason, I've almost got high schoolers now, which is kind of crazy to believe. It's hard to remember the days that you're living through right now, but I can tell you it just gets better and better. So you have a lot to look forward to.
It does. I got to say, Santa came to visit Mateo a couple of days ago, and the look on his face, I will never forget it. It's a memory of a lifetime. And I'm just so lucky and privileged and blessed and all of the above to have a family of my own. I know you are so fortunate to have twins, and I cannot believe. So in September of 26, they'll be in high school.
It is that time. Yeah, it's kind of crazy to believe. It's
Holy
almost like,
cow.
because we just have the twins. So it's kind of like having an only child from a parental standpoint. We're just going through everything once. So we're hyper aware to try and just live all of these moments and know that it's going to go by really fast.
Yeah, but you weren't ever just changing one diaper. You were changing two diapers at the exact
Yeah,
same
we always
time. They
laugh
were
at that. There was
crying.
never a choice. There was never a choice. Yeah.
Our best friends in Minneapolis also only had one set of kids, but it happened to be twins as well and are living that same experience. Actually, almost the exact same age. I think they're turning 13, so a little younger than yours. But it's been a journey to watch, and bless your heart. I mean, twins, it's a lot. It's a lot. How's
It's a
everything at the
lot,
chamber,
but it's
Kevin?
also the best.
100% right. How's everything at the chamber?
Things are really good. Winding the year down, just like you, it sounds like there's so many exciting things going on right now. And, DMI has a bunch of really interesting data. We have a bunch of interesting data. And Jason, I'm excited to just get nerdy on all of this data with you today and talking about what we're seeing and kind of where we're going.
When people think Jason Elstrip, they think nerdy data. I mean, that's
Yeah,
usually
yeah,
what
yeah,
comes to mind. Yes.
yeah.
But tell us,
Combative,
combative.
pessimistic.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
all of those things really always when I think of
I've got
Jason.
to combat it. Well, yeah. Tell us about what's going on with the advocacy work. What are you all planning in 26? Another big year for the Greater Madison Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah, and for the region as a whole, I think a lot of our work from a coordinated action standpoint is around the growth that we continue to experience. Year over year, if you just look at Dane County alone, continues to outpace the population projections that the state has set out for us. So much so that, in fact, earlier this year, a regional data group came together of local planners, demographers, academics, and said, we can't rely on these numbers anymore. They continue to be off, and it's hard for us to plan our communities accordingly based on these projections that are lower. So what do we think the true number is that we need to forecast out? And what they determined was that in the next 25 years, not only are we going to continue to grow rapidly, but just Dane County alone is going to add more than 100,000 people above what the state had already projected. And so what that means is, make no mistake, growth is a tremendous opportunity. Now, I know you do a ton of work with downtowns throughout the country, but I think even in the mid-continent area, I'm sure when you talk to your peers in other downtowns, they're envious of the opportunity that we have. But it also is going to take a lot of initiative, a lot of intentional and decisiveness to ensure that this growth that we're experiencing only enhances and doesn't diminish what I think we all love about this region and what makes us special. So with that framing, I think at the local, state, and federal level, that's really, I think, been the continued narrative this year and heading into next year.
Talk more about that. I just actually went over this data last week when we had some important meetings out of state talking about Madison. You all have done an amazing job with your friends at Carpsy and several other organizations to do these new projections. Because sadly, the projections, maybe not sadly, they've just been short, right? I don't know if there's a subjective to that, but that doesn't allow us to plan for what we need to see in the future when it comes to infrastructure, to how all these sorts of major issues. You guys are really have honed in significantly on what those look like. I mean, we're looking at near a million folks, right, in Dane County by 2050. Tell us why it's important to really make sure we get the right numbers as we start to plan for the future.
Yeah, I think you only need to look to some of the regions that we kind of aspire to be, those aspirational economies that have very similar industry sets, but also had this period of just rapid growth, to see kind of what the stakes are of what happens if we don't get it right. Right? Communities that are doing really well on so many levels, like you think about our friends in the greater Austin area. And if they could go back 20 or 30 years, they would love to make better decisions in terms of their regional transportation to ensure that people could actually move around conveniently. The housing supply as well. During the 2010s, we know we were underbuilding by more than 1,000 units per year. So we have a lot to catch up to. And I think credit to a lot of our regional elected officials, they understand that. But from that data, we can actually paint an accurate picture to know what our goals need to be to, again, ensure that we are planning in a way that allows us to embrace this growth and ensure that it remains livable for all different people doing different occupations, and ensuring that the quality of life that we've always been known for only continues to grow.
Talking about data, I mean, it's quite important. And I think that's what we're here to talk about today. You all, several years ago, including with organization us and Destination Madison and many other organizations, got together to say we need to find out information from the businesses, right? And figure out what is happening. We started this under COVID, but now you all have taken it to the next level. Kevin, talk about the next normal survey, N2. Talk about who's involved in this project, what data are you looking for, and why is it important that we're getting this information directly from businesses?
Yeah, and you mentioned the pandemic, Jason, and you've been in this role now for many years, and we have a lot of really fantastic partner organizations that collaborate together. But I have to say, looking back during that stretch of time, 2020 to 2021 and 2022, I think for our part, I think we're the most proud of all of the partnerships that occurred during that time. I think we all collectively got so much done. And not many people will know, that the hours of the day and the times and all of the conversations that took place to ensure that we were doing everything that we could as a set of communities to give people the resources that they needed during an unprecedented time. And one of the things that I think really kicked it off, and I think a credit to DMI, but also our friends at Destination Madison, is we knew we needed to have a rapid deployment of information out to our businesses to ensure that we understood where they were, the challenges that they were facing, and then also that we could have coordinated action around some of the solutions that we knew we needed to address. And so we set out a series of surveys that were really helpful, I think, and led to a number of advocacy accomplishments that helped our businesses in this region get through that challenging time. And so one of the things that I think we all learned during that time is we just need to continue doing this. And we need to do it on an annual basis to ensure that, data is just a moment in time. So how do we actually start to benchmark these topics year over year so that we can actually assess trends? And so that's where the next normal survey came in. It was an opportunity to say, let's actually make this table bigger. Let's bring in more partner organizations and the public sector into this and really start to ask the questions of what do we think the future of work and workspaces is, in addition to just top line economic assessments of workforce revenue and projections heading into the new year. So last year was the first year that we did this. We had about 250 employers throughout the region participate. This year, I'm proud to say we had similar numbers, and that's, again, thanks to the support of so many organizations so that we could get a perspective on where people are today and how they're viewing the next year.
You talked about that tent getting larger, more organizations being a part of this work. We're so thankful that you've included so many, the Black Chamber, the Hmong Chamber, CARPC, the mayor is, or Matt Mikolajewski from the Economic Development Team. So many folks are part of this work. And I think you're able to build a good coalition to get some data. So what are the key results that you saw from this year's survey?
Yeah, I think looking back at last year, the headline was optimism. I think there's a ton of optimism on workforce, on revenue, and how they were looking ahead at businesses of all sizes heading into 2025. I think the headline this time is still optimism, but I would just add a little bit of caution ahead of that. So it's cautious optimism. I think people are still meeting really strong and favorable workforce and revenue projections, still have very high ratings in terms of availability, quality of talent, views of the business climate here in the region as a very favorable place to do business. That's all consistent. I think what in addition to that is a little bit more uncertainty. And you see that reflected in some of the barriers that have been identified. So while talent, access to talent, remains the top barrier to business, it's actually gone down a little bit from last year. And then some of the barriers that have risen from the previous year include government regulations, inflation, and then the biggest one being trade. In fact, that was one of the lowest barriers to business a year ago, and now it's increased more than 7x as one of the factors that's affecting our business community. And interestingly, Jason, when you start to break down the crosstabs, and you'd think, okay, if we're talking about international trade and tariffs, we're probably talking about manufacturing and research organizations, but actually some of the employers that raise this issue the most are very consumer-facing small businesses. It's arts and entertainment, it's hospitality, it's restaurants. I think people understand that consumer confidence is an issue when it comes to some of these topics. So I would say optimism, but with a little bit more caution than the prior year.
You asked several questions about how downtown is doing, which we are very appreciative to put those in the survey. What was the sentiment on downtown? What do people need to see more of? What do they need to see less of? How can we improve things, particularly when we're starting this work that you all are part of in Envision Downtown Madison?
Yeah, I mean, I think people clearly see the downtown as an asset. It's an asset in talent recruitment and retention. When you actually look at the specific set of businesses that have locations downtown, I think you see very similar trend lines to the broader region as a whole in terms of workforce and revenue. I think some of the slight differences are in some of the emerging benefits that downtown businesses offer. It won't surprise you, Jason, to learn that transit and access to amenities are key factors in why businesses like to be downtown and the value that they have for their employees, and providing subsidized transit passes as an emerging benefit to their employees. Co-working spaces as well has been a rising emerging benefit. I think another thing that we found interesting is we asked about artificial intelligence. And so last year, this was one of our big takeaways, you might remember, Jason, is that it surprised us to learn that about half of all of the respondents had said that they had no way used artificial intelligence in their business operations. The joke at that time was like, maybe you just don't know that you are, but it's not an intentional use. And to no surprise, that same set of questions this year, we found a much higher usage and intentional usage of AI, although as a larger region, it was very minimally integrated into their workflows, a lot of content creation, emails, marketing uses. When you look at the downtown specific businesses, you saw more on automation and R&D and research as well as uses of how they're using artificial intelligence. So it's a little bit more integrated into their businesses in the larger region as a whole.
You keep talking, I think, rightly about talent retention and recruitment, right? This is a big subject. You all have done excellent dives into how many Gen Z new workers are coming to this market, right? For instance, proportionally, Madison is one of the highest, if not the highest. What are we seeing right now with business talent retention and recruitment? This is a big issue for a lot of folks in downtown. How are we comparing to other cities? How is the market right now in Madison?
Well, yeah, I mean, since we started the conversation with the headline talking about our continued rapid growth that's outpacing projections, a big part of that story is young professionals. I think it's important to look back. It wasn't that long ago that when we were talking about our economic development strategy and our target demographic when it came to talent recruitment was a term called boomerangers. It was this assumption that you might grow up here, you might come here to go to school, but if you were starting your career, you were going to go to a larger metropolitan area. Maybe there were more career opportunities for you. Oh, but when you want to settle down, Jason, then you're going to boomerang back because of our renowned quality of life. There's no better place to live and raise a family. And that's what we were focused on 20, 25 years ago. And in the 2010s, there was a really big change that started, and it just only accelerated year after year from that. And it started with millennials, where we had a large net in-migration of millennial populations on par with Boston and San Francisco in terms of the percentage of college-educated millennials that were in our workforce. And then now with Gen Z, it's only grown from there. So you're right, we're number one in Gen Z new hires in terms of our concentration. And then interestingly, we're one of only 5 communities across the country where Gen Z makes up more than 20% of our workforce. So I think young professionals from an attraction standpoint, there's a lot to be encouraged by. But we also know that we continue to have among the lowest unemployment rates in the country. So both of these things can be true. We're growing jobs, which is great. We're attracting people, which is great, but we need to attract and retain more to keep pace with the job creation numbers that we're seeing. And so it's a continued area of emphasis. Even though there's progress in kind of meeting that gap, there's more work that has to be done. And even though there has been a decline in terms of the number of respondents who have indicated talent as the number one barrier facing to their business, it is still number one. And so that's why we've collectively focused on tools. And I think one of the biggest opportunities that we have as a region is to be consistent and using place as part of our talent recruitment strategies. There's a number of things that we can talk about it if you're interested in getting into it, but I think a lot to be encouraged by.
What are some of those strengths and opportunities for that business retention and recruitment? I think we should get into it, right? You guys have done a fantastic job with some of the VR, some of the messaging, the website that in the slide deck that is available to folks. What are you seeing as the potential, opportunities that we have to really sell Madison in a way to get even more folks to move here?
Well, it starts with data, right? About 10 years ago, we worked with a firm out of London to survey people across the country to get a sense of how they viewed our region. What were some of the perceptions? And I think what was interesting is when we did that survey, 70% of respondents, when they were asked to say what they thought of the Greater Madison business community in Greater Madison, had no answer, just nothing. And we viewed that as a real negative. But then our consultants told us, like, well, hold on. No, this just means it's a blank canvas. It's not a negative thing. It's not a positive thing. They just don't know. And so I think that's one of the biggest opportunities is that there is a great story to tell. There are great things happening in our economy, in our communities for us to brag about. And then there's some emerging things that are really interesting around climate resiliency that I think are going to benefit us in the years to come. So I think our ability to tell that story is the biggest opportunity. And if you're interested in learning more about how we're doing that and some of the tools that are available, I'd encourage you to check out bmadison.com. This is our umbrella for all of our place-based recruiting. Everything you see on there, from videos to other content, is all aligned with the brand archetype that we think really speaks to who we are and who we aspire to be. You talked about that virtual reality platform, which is really cool. But if you're interested in seeing what that looks like, even on a desktop version, you can find that on bmadison.com as well. And the reason why we set out to do that, and I think this speaks to the downtown, what you all do so well at DMI, is that another thing that we learned from that brand study is that experiences matter. And by that, I mean, what we heard from employers who were doing national recruiting during that time is if we could just get people to visit, then they're sold on the community. And then it's just about the company. And oftentimes that includes bringing people downtown and all of the incredible restaurants and arts and entertainment and parks and all the things that we love about the waterfront. That makes it a no-brainer that, of course, I'd want to be here. But it's not really realistic to fly everybody who's interested in a potential job opportunity to Madison. So if we know that experience matters, how do we make those experiences more portable? And that's where this VR platform came to be. And it's all built, designed locally. There's some phenomenal VR talent that's here that's helped us design this platform where when you put on the headset or even the Google Reader, if you're using the desktop version, you're transported to a VR downtown residence. But when you're looking at the windows, it's all 360-degree photos that the VR residence is built into. And then you'll find items throughout the living units. Maybe there's a kayak, and when you click on it, you're transported to what it's like to be on a kayak on Lake Monona at sunrise. Or there's a union chair. If you click on that, you know what the amazing experience is like on a sunny summer evening on Lake Mendota at the Memorial Union. So it's scattered with experiences, so people can really see all that there is to offer here in this region. So all of that can be found on bmadison.com.
Well, we should say thank you because that apartment that's located in the VR is in downtown. Although, Kevin, it looks like it's like a 35-story building. I don't know that we could get that built with the capital height limit.
No, you're right. It is very, very much fake, and we could
Well,
not
no.
exceed.
Like the amenities you go to are real, just the actual
Yes.
apartment itself.
Yeah, you're not going to get that view, and we wouldn't want it either in terms of that. But it does showcase, I think, what is beautiful about seeing both lakes and people to understand the real joy it is to be on an isthmus.
Where do you see the most potential right now for business growth in downtown, right? The economy is yes, there's uncertainty, clearly, at many levels. But yet we're still seeing a lot of positives. Where do you think this potential business growth can come from? Where do you think we're going to see, the future of downtown Madison?
I'll just start by I'm still amazed by what has happened along the East Washington corridor. I'm the resident old guy at the chamber, and actually one of the first people that I met when I was hired 60 years ago was a young John Cernelia as well. We've kind of risen up in the ranks together
Our own.
organizations, but we both remember the time, when we were thinking about when it was used car lots and empty manufacturing buildings along East Washington corridor, and now to see what it has become with the amazing experiences and the businesses that have followed to want to be near it, some of the things that are coming online in the future that have been long awaited. It just continues to be a tremendous asset for the downtown. Obviously, there's some very big projects and areas of land that I'm excited to see what we do with it. Some state buildings as well that are going to create some tremendous opportunities. And then, I'm excited about learning more, Jason, about the work that you guys have been working along Regent Street as well. I think just ripe for investment opportunity that's only going to add to the vibrancy of the downtown. And then, actually, Jason, one of the first conversations you and I had in this role had to do with our waterfronts and how we are making them not just accessible, but the experiences that are around the waterfronts. And I'm excited about what is to come, I think, in the years ahead for some of the coordination and strategy to make those types of investments, which are going to only help us recruit more businesses and people to want to be near the downtown area.
You called that lunch out right. I mean, it was just when I was starting at Sushi Red, which if they're listening right now, I would love if you opened up for lunch again. It was such a good lunch. But you did. You were right away saying this is an important amenity for the city, but you really saw it as something bigger. I mean, it really is a part of what retains and attracts talent to our community. People need things to do. Just as we have a lot of seekers that are coming here, right? They want experiences. You've done the data. You are making sure that everything is sort of geared towards that. But it includes having things to do like the Lake Monona waterfront, like what's going on Cap East with Bree Stevens and the Sylvie, what potentially could happen at the Alliant Energy Center campus. You all have been champions of many of these projects and made downtown better, but I think made our entire community better. So thank you, Kevin. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Jason.
Yeah, yes, I'm here to give praise.
I'm just going to say, yeah, absolutely.
Easiest. I didn't really ask a question there either. I probably is bad hosting when I'm just answering my own questions. But Kevin Little, Vice President of the Greater Madison Chamber of Commerce, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for the continued partnership between our organizations, but in particular, thank you for all this work with N2, the Next Normal survey. It makes a difference. Data matters when we're making decisions, particularly when our city is growing. Kevin, thank you to you, Zach, and the entire team of the Chamber. We really appreciate all you do.
Well, and likewise, appreciate you, the team, and the continued partnership on a variety of things beyond just data. I think a lot of the great work that's happening is because of great leaders like yourself who are committed to doing this work every day. So thanks so much.
Well, we certainly appreciate it. And thank you all for listening to our December advocacy update and for your support of downtown. Thank you again to our major series sponsors, Sinair, and our friends at Hush Blackwell and the Fiore companies. Hope everyone has a wonderful holiday season. Hope you buy all your gifts right here at our locally owned shops in the downtown. Fill your bellies up with our great local restaurants. We'll see you downtown sometime soon. Have a wonderful holidays. Thank you again.